So this is part 2 of What's Your End Game? And this is about snacks. For those of you who don't know me, watching me for the first time, I'm Margie and I used to weigh 318 pounds. Now I weigh 154 pounds and I'm starting to maintain my weight and slowly increase my calories. And I've been doing that for a couple of weeks and actually lost a little bit in the process. And so let me talk about snacks here a minute because, a lot of people will do really well for their breakfast and their lunch and their dinner. People eat 3 meals, people eat 2 meals, some people eat 4 meals or 5 meals, whatever your deal is. But snacks were always a big problem for me. And they tend to be a big problem for most people who have problems with their weight. And so I'm just going to give you my strategy. And, if you find it useful, great. And that is, I still wanted to enjoy my snacks. I didn't want to have, just some dry carrot sticks and celery sticks or, with some, no fat yogurt to dip them in or something. Not quite my cup of tea, so to speak. Although, having some tea sounds good, but an afternoon tea, okay, no, that's not really going to work for my strategy, but that's more like a meal for me if I end up having one of those, which I have a couple of years I end up going to a tea. Anyway, so what I learned as a sweet tooth, and you have to figure out if you're into this kind of thing. Some people are more into the salty, fatty range, more of the chips, and I could go for chips, but I could also go for sweets, and I would pick, some of my pastries, or cookies, whatever that I baked, or, maybe I just have lots of bread and I would put cream cheese on it, or butter, or cheese, or some other kind of, lovely cheese on it or something. Or I'd have a bunch of slices of cheddar, or, I could overeat it. So all my snacks were just so into overeating. And I wanted to enjoy the snacks. So when I got into the sugar diet, which didn't last very long for me because it only worked for 1 week and then that was it. It wasn't, some people don't do as well with FGF21. Apparently, the more obese somebody is, the worse it can be. Sometimes females don't do as well. But nonetheless, anyway, I learned that, wow, this fruit is really satisfying and delicious. I mean, not to eat all day, only that. I'm talking about just for snacks. And, or, to fill in, for my meals, if I had the room for it, sometimes I would have that for a dessert, So I learned, wow, there's all these great fruits out there. Again, it's not just apples, oranges, and bananas. It's peaches and cherries and plums this time of year, right? For a lot of people. But I learned just how delicious all this fruit was. And, having it in whole form, not juice, not smoothies. Smoothies are not as filling because it's partly digested. I don't want to make it sound gross. I just, it's already, gone through what the mouth would do, so to speak. And so it isn't quite as filling for a lot of people. And I find it's definitely not as filling for me. So whole fruit, it's really hard to overeat it. Now occasionally I'm going to have a cucumber and tomato salad if I'm hungry. I mean, that's like 50 calories and I feel good for a while. It gets me by until dinner kind of thing. And so I learned that those were things that I wouldn't overeat on, that would fill me up, fill my space in between meals. And so when I needed to, I tried to, eat enough for, eat satisfying foods for my meals and only have the 3 meals a day. But when I needed to, I would have fruit. And so nowadays, I snack a little bit more, but it's fruit or cucumber, tomato salad. Usually I'm satisfied enough. It's just fruit that I have. But so, that's what one of the tricks that I had was I found the things that were satisfying and I couldn't overeat on to have for snacks. And yes, I find lovely fruit. Yes, do I spend a lot of money on fruit? Yes, I spend no money on going to fast food restaurants or finding these snacky things, wherever I go, picking up a cupcake or, finding some great ingredients to use in pastries. I mean, I make pastries occasionally. I make some fun things. I made a cheddar sourdough bread to bring to potluck yesterday and gave away a lot of it. I kept one loaf at home, and when I made these little mini loaves, and that's how I dealt with that one. Again, it's like, here, why don't you take it? Because I know that I can overdo it on that. But anyway, so that is my part 2 video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.